Hey y'all, hi. So it's the morning after the election. I am feeling terrible. It's such a dark time. And I'm not even dressed, which is unusual for me. These days I usually get dressed for work, which means like getting dressed before coming to film. My work today, though, wasn't going to be this. I have like other work and I do need to put makeup on for it. So I just decided to do it on camera because I want to connect before like all of the rest of the content that I'm going to continue to make, like normal stuff, just continue to do my work. Before that starts to pick up, I just wanted to connect. So I'm going to put on makeup, be together for a little while. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. I have a couple serums on, but didn't bring like additional skincare up here. So I'm going to do skin prep with Auric Glow Lust because it's also skincare. And I haven't used this in a long time. I don't usually do this kind of check-in where it's like, here's how I am in the moment. It's raw, especially about contemporary issues on my channel anymore. I do it on Patreon some, but I don't really do it here. And it's not because I don't think it's important to engage with contemporary issues, because I am engaging with them. Especially as a writer, I have like another project that I'm working on, which is my work as a writer. And I feel like that's the place that it makes sense for me, that's the place where I have the constitution to engage, right? Constitutionally, I can engage there with the most pressing issues of our times. I'm not really cut out for the style of discourse that ends up happening online in comments and stuff and in like this space around contemporary issues. So I try not to bring that into my videos so that it doesn't spawn a bunch of that style of discourse in my online space, like in my comments, because I want to be in my comments connecting. I want that to be part of my work as well, and don't want to turn it into a place that feels like a place I don't want to work, like a workplace that I don't want to go to show up to work. So that's why I don't usually do this. And, I'm going to go on to, like I said in the intro, it's going to be a bunch of videos that I've been planning this whole time, some that I've already filmed. There's a sponsored video coming up that's already scheduled. Really beautiful jewelry. I had such a good time creating the video. I had such a good time filming the B-roll. I'm excited about it, but it's like, it's been scheduled for months, right? So it has to post, and it's something that I had planned in the before times. You know what I mean? So it's just content will proceed as normal. And that's what I want, because I want my workplace to be a place that I have the capacity to show up to and be productive in every day. There's also a new makeup hot takes video that I already filmed that'll be going up soon. I'm just like talking and continuing to layer Glow Lust. I need to move on to the next step. I remembered what I was going to say. I remembered the second half of the like conceptual clause that I was setting up. Hold on. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put on this Gucci gloss. It's like lip plumping. The rest of today I have to film B-roll. B-roll is like just video imagery. There's this video coming up that's about fashion, and I need some imagery of myself in clothes to slide into the video to illustrate my points. That's what's on the docket for today, in addition to a bunch of other things. That's what I'm putting makeup on for. So I'm going to put this, this is extremely aggressively plumping, but it's kind of nice. It's a nice color too. I'm not sure how thorough I'll be about saying everything that I'm using, but I'll put everything in the description box. However, I realize I have to say it out loud, otherwise Joe doesn't know what to link when he's going through the video. It's the Gucci gloss in Suzanne Brown. Yeah. So the clause I was setting up, I'm gonna use some green color corrector. I don't usually do things that will bring like nastiness out of the woodwork in this space, but I was a YouTube beauty video watcher back in 2016 at the time of that election. I had it was like when I was just starting. It was actually the thing that caused me to start watching beauty YouTube. I was looking for some kind of escapism after the 2016 election, and videos of makeup reviews, people putting on makeup, reviewing makeup. That was like it just hit. It was exactly what I was looking for to ease the troubled mind and soul at that time. So it was like all the media that I was consuming that fall 8 years ago. And even though I appreciated the escapism, I appreciated how that facilitated me to escape, it also felt really weird and kind of creeped me out that nobody that I was watching said anything about the shock to the system that was that election. And that made me feel more alone and more dissociated. And it made me feel like simultaneously soothed, like brain smoothed by the content. And it also kept me in that place on the treadmill of just smoothing, because it made me feel more dissociated, more alone, and therefore kind of more freaked out, even though it was what was soothing me. So my content is going to go on to be brain smoothing for a lot of you. And I embrace that role and I love what I do, but I don't want it to also be kind of confusing and loneliness making and lostness spurring, that there's no acknowledgement that there's been this event, this kind of like sea change. Wow, green color corrector is endearingly great. The Gucci gloss is doing the most. It looks like it's color changing, but it's not. And you can tell because it's not that horrible. It looks like it's pH adjusting, but it's not. You can tell because it's not that horrible fuchsia color. It's just the color of my actual lips being irritated by whatever the plumping is. It's sort of a raw color and the slight sheen of like the color of the actual product. So now I feel like I don't need that much concealer. I'm actually going to use some of this Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. It's in the shade 2 to cover the scars on the sides of my face. I'm basically putting it everywhere that I don't want to highlight with the bright creaminess that will be the Refi Concealer in shade 1, which is what I'm going to use next. So what is it that we can do? One of the things that's interesting is that in 2016, I was in grad school. I had gotten my master's degree in creative writing and poetry. I had graduated, and then I was still living in Ann Arbor, Michigan, part of the school community because there was a fellowship year attached to my MFA, my master's degree. So I was living there, working, continuing to participate in the program, but I wasn't having to go to classes and I wasn't having to teach classes. So I was able to completely fall apart, watch YouTube videos for hours in the bath. And as many of you know, what ended up happening was that I went down a rabbit hole of spending, right? That was when the worst of my spending on beauty products started. And it just was an ever deepening hole until I started digging myself out with my no-buy year in 2018. So this feels really different because I'm a lot older and many of my circumstances are different. But the thing that's the most different is that I'm a parent to a little child. So I have responsibility to a person other than just myself when it comes to a time of great need or a time of great darkness or time of questioning or lostness. And it's harder in some ways. Like that is an additional challenge and adds additional weight to the moment, but it also has given me more clarity and more energy, way more than I had the first time. And I think that that's kind of the thing that I want to share. I'm going to put on, this Refi concealer. My child, who recently turned 1, who's, just at the beginning of his second year of life, he needs fully functioning people to be his models for how to be a human. He needs to witness joy and calm and gentleness and hope. And just like he needs to, basically, I need to hold on. I need to access my emotional and spiritual maturity and not let myself slide down a hole because he's learning from us every day how to live, like how to regulate one's nervous system, how to react to people, to environments. He does have a lot of inherent joy. He does have a lot of natural joy, but I feel it's my responsibility to also hold on to my capacity for joy. Not that it's not okay to feel sad, or I have to blend this concealer. And I'm talking about a baby, but I also mean it's also for all of us, right? Not that it's not okay to feel sad. And we talk all the time about how it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel bad. I really try to cultivate an environment for him, but also for myself, like also for us, because this is a problem for adults as well. I really try to cultivate an environment of acceptance of challenging emotions. And honestly, we talk about it every single day. I'm going to put on this Amicole gloss on top of the Gucci one because I want to go a little outside my lip line, but I don't want the Gucci gloss to irritate my skin. So it's not like I'm trying to teach him false happiness. It's just that the person that I became in 2016 after the election, that person in this role that I'm in now would have I turned into kind of a black hole. You know what I mean? And I think that would do a disservice to a little baby who's learning with every moment what it is to be human in this world. I hope this is making sense. The reason that I'm bringing this up is to say that that's true for me right now, specifically as a parent. But I also think that it's true for everyone. It was true for me back in 2016, but instead of a baby, it was myself that I had to care for. And I let myself down by going down that rabbit hole, by turning into the black hole, by totally losing the plot. I'm not blaming myself or the many of us to whom that has happened and is happening. I mean, it's so difficult. But I'm having an interesting experience this morning. I knew right away what I had to do. I knew right away that I had to remain open to joy, cultivate the maturity of the mind and spirit, be more present to the people that I'm with, put more energy into the act of care that is like living life in each moment. I knew immediately what I had to do. And for me, it happens to be the imperative to provide a nourishing place for this baby to grow. That sharpened my vision and it gave me that clarity. I think it could come from other places too, but that's very different. It's just very different from before. And also, you know, I learned my lesson about hope. I think I wasn't as hopeful this time. That's probably part of it too. But it's just to say, I found myself being, what am I going to do? Put on blush? I'm going to use this Emi Cole blush that I haven't used in a while. It's in the shade Dune. It's the Desert Date Cream Multi-Stick. I just found this morning, I've been experiencing this kind of like energy that comes from the sort of like the need for survival, but it's not like the most basic level of survival. It's like survival of the spirit, like survival of the wholeness of the person. I have found this energy that I think is coming from this like sharpened, not just desire, but need for that. And it's caused me to do things like be more thorough in small acts of self-care. Like I made the bed really carefully today, really slowly. I didn't phone it in. I went the extra mile and completed the task. I felt like I had the time for it. I wasn't rushing through it. It was because I just felt like I had to. I was like, you have to slow down and do these things carefully and do these things with intention, because that's where the survival of wholeness is going to come from. As these years go by, I don't want to be worn out and worn down and just be like a shred of myself. I feel like that would be letting fascism win over me in my internal life, in the one small space, my body, like that I have to live in. I don't want to let that in. And I don't want to run myself into debt like I did before. Self-destruct. Real self-care. It's a kind of defiance and resistance. Not the kind of self-care that the industry is trying to sell you, right? Not overspending at Sephora. That's not real self-care. Reading a poem first thing in the morning instead of getting right on your phone. Decluttering instead of buying more. Or choosing one really nice thing to buy when you need or want something instead of a constant drip of mediocre things. Learning to meditate, practicing presence so that when you go to work or you go to a party, you can really show up for people and look them in the eye and connect and create kindness between yourselves, like build little fires between yourself and another person of attention and awareness, make energy, which I think we lose the ability to do that when we're like closed off and just looking at our phones and not present. And then the air stays kind of dead in those social spaces. It's like the way I'm feeling this morning is like we have our work cut out for us. And this is what it starts with. It's like being kind to yourself so that you can stay strong, so that we can stay strong. Wow, I've done nothing to my brows because I don't really have anything. I, Hannah Louise Poston, beauty guru, have run out of brow products. And yesterday morning, I should have known, oh no, here's a brow product. I thought that this Swede Beauty eyeliner was brow. I thought it was this Cure Weiss thing. And I put it in my eyebrows and it was actually a disaster. But this Cure Weiss one will be fine. I'm just going to shape a little bit. Wow, I really got carried away. Remember angry eyes? This is like angry brows. The color is also kind of warm. For me, I like a very ashy brow. And I'm going to put the Merit Brow Pomade in brown in on top just to try to make it look a little more natural. Wow, yeah, that's really fluffing things up. Still really intense though. I think I need to scale it back on the front. Wow, this brow situation has really taken over. I I mean, luckily for the B-roll that I'm filming, it's okay. My brows are a little intense. It's okay. But I feel like I need to dye my brows is what I need to do. I was going to say I need to get some brow products that I really like. And I need to do that too. Brow SOS. I'm really into the Merit Black Brown, the Brow 1990 in Black Brown. It's used up though, because the only problem with it is that it goes by. It gets used up in like 2 weeks. Maybe I was just overusing it because I really liked it. So I was going for really bold brows for those 2 weeks, but a little does not go a long way. All right, let's do something on the eyes. I want to share this Thich Nhat Hanh quote with you. My mom emailed this to me this morning. Someone asked me, "Aren't you worried about the state of the world?" I allowed myself to breathe, and then I said, "What is most important is not to allow your anxiety about what happens in the world to fill your heart. If your heart is filled with anxiety, you will get sick and you will not be able to help." And my mom said, "This is helping me this morning because he's not saying don't think about it, just don't let it get into your heart." Thanks, Mom. So I think we're pretty much there. I was going to do a little eyes. Let's do a little eye sparkle. Actually, yeah, a little eye sparkle. I've been quite enjoying this Armani eye tint in the shade Sparkle. I think it's called Sparkle. Just because it's so sheer that it ends up just looking like a little bit wet look. And that's really all I need today. I don't feel like putting on mascara, honestly, but I think I need to balance out the brows. Oh, this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to do the Redhead Revolution mascara and wipe it off. So the other thought that I had this morning, it kind of makes me want to unplug a little more. I mean, I think that that's all connected to the motivation to move towards true self-care rather than leaving myself out to dry, so to speak, like leaving myself uncared for in my own life, or falling into the trap of pursuing fake self-care, like a kind of surface level self-care that's ultimately destructive in one way or another. I think that putting distance between oneself and one's phone, for example, or oneself and the internet is like, it's a form of true self-care. It's part of the project of true self-care. And it reminds me, have you heard that the young folks are calling it raw dogging? Have you heard of this? I've read articles about it. Going on a flight and not looking at your phone for the entire flight is raw dogging the flight now. I kind of love it. It makes it seem kind of badass and risky. You know what I mean? And there's not really another linguistic structure. It's something about the linguistic structure of it, like calling it something it to be without your phone. It's helping crystallize like a thing that I've been talking about for a long time. You know, all those times I talked about doing nothing in my life, spending time doing nothing as being like the key to a calm nervous system. You know, it's that, but it's a much more powerful and catchy way of talking about that than just doing nothing, being mindful, etc. All right, that's just a little bit of mascara. This is getting really sticky, and I think I should go. So that's it. I'm so glad you're here. I hope that you will, join me in doing what you need to do to stay whole for the sake of other people in your life, particularly for the sake of the child that is you, like the child in yourself. Like don't let her go unparented for these years, this stretch of years that we're now staring down the barrel of. And lastly, before I go, my wonderful friend and mentor, Julia Frodal, has so much to offer in terms of guidance when you feel like there's nothing, when you feel like there is nothing else. One of the things that's really different now, like 8 years later now, is that in the interim, in these 8 years, I reconnected with Julia and started working with her and took some of her online classes. Basically, I've put energy into beginning to be a more spiritually mature person. And when I say spiritually, I'm not talking about like religion. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the human spirit, which is like a part of the human being that exists in every human being. A more holistically mature person. So I've put energy into that, but I also wouldn't have been able to do it without her gentle and wise guidance. I'll link that down below. I'm going to be going back to regularly scheduled programming. New makeup hot takes, video about how to dress better, videos about, what am I doing? Like talking about knitwear, talking about outerwear, I'm going to be going back to that. Julia does this kind of thing for a living, and she is truly called to it and truly extraordinary at it. So if you need more, if you don't know where to go, look at Julia's work and look at some of her classes. Thank you, my friends, for being here with me. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your ever more important work in this world.